In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend almighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sana Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God slain. I demand the full power of beloved mighty, see me with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and Son of Kumara. Come forth now in the victory of the God slain. Send to light 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune now. I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved Estelle, beloved Estelle, beloved Estelle. I call upon the electronic solar rings of the great central sun, the seraphim of God. I call for the electronic fire rings. I call for the rings of the great central sun. I call for the great central sun magnet.
Good morning and welcome to another episode, another epic episode waiting to happen right before your very ears. This is Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'm your host, your guide, your navigator for the next 120 minutes or so. I guess it's really actually 117 minutes right now. It is an interesting time, as always. Hurricane Isaac is about to cross. The eye of Hurricane Isaac is about to cross right over the sinkhole, the great sinkhole that is fomenting in Assumption Parish down in Louisiana. I talked about this on Monday, and this was before there were any facts on the ground about this actually happening, but it just seemed like, well, it was going to happen. It had to happen. And so we have literally these two forces, one which is sucking, right? Sucking down from the earth. That's what that sinkhole is. It literally swallows things. It swallowed trees. It swallowed cars. It swallowed people. They got the people out. And it's growing in circumference. So it is sucking matter downward. And the hurricane is sucking matter upwards. So what we have is we have this potential for a vortex to take place in these two places, in these two spots. And it's going to be interesting, is kind of a mild term to put it, if it does collide, which it looks like it's going to do. And of course, I also mentioned this on the Monday show, in that there is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water that is being sucked up from the Gulf of Mexico. And this is water that has been tainted for the past 2 years now by chlorexit, which is the dispersal agent, the bioremediation agent that BP, courtesy of Nalco, who's the company that BP bought, which produces chlorexit, this has been sprayed all throughout the Gulf of Mexico and is altering plant life, marine life, and human life as we know it in that region. So that part of the world is going to get a heavy, heavy dose of chlorexit on their plants, in their groundwater, in their food. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We're also looking at the 7-year anniversary of Katrina. Hello, 7 years. And Isaac is back, or Katrina is back as Isaac in full force. So I had a pretty interesting experience on the show on Monday. I did a little play acting with Yahweh, Isaac, and Abraham. And then I had a really weird dream the next morning. It was like in the dream, the angel of death visited me and basically said, I've come for you and you're not going to last the night. It was an interesting dream. And it was a little shaky. That was yesterday morning, and I actually made it through the night, so here I am. And maybe I've managed to stave off the angel of death for yet another day. I don't want to mock the angel of death. I've already mocked Yahweh and Isaac, although I didn't really mock them. I was really mocking Yahweh. And I know it's probably not a good thing, but I'm just not a fan of the smoting and the heavy duty attitude that is part and parcel of that part of Christianity and the Old Testament. I'm more of a New Testament kind of guy, even though I'm not really a dyed-in-the-wool Christian. I think there's probably a few passages in there that you can live by, and maybe some mysteries to decode at a higher level. But other than that, I don't spend a lot of time parsing through the Bible, although I was interested in it for a while. This is back in college. It's different times now. So we've got Isaac, and there's a full moon coming in Pisces. What does that mean? It means water, big water, enormous water. And I believe at some point during the full moon, the early stages of the full moon, the moon is going to be trining Mars and Scorpio. So not only are we seeing big water, we're seeing transformational water, depth, power. And, I hope, and this is my hope, this is my desire, that the Mars and Scorpio energy will be able to act as a catalyst. I have a new post up on the site, by the way, robertphoenix.com. I just put it up today. It's about Lance Armstrong, Neil Armstrong, and Jack Armstrong, the three Armstrongs, the trinity of Armstrongs, which, if you look at them, they represent America in three stages of America. Jack Armstrong is the nascent part of America. If you're not familiar with Jack Armstrong was a radio serial that went from 1933 to 1951. It was an integral part of the American psyche. Jack Armstrong was the eternal adolescent. That's the role that he played, and that's pretty much how America was being viewed at the time, or how it viewed itself, or how it was being portrayed, and how maybe America is still to this day the eternal adolescent, Jack Armstrong, somewhere in between that nether zone of high school and college, the summer vacation that never ends, the final summer vacation before adulthood that never ends. And so Jack Armstrong, with his buddy Billy Fairfield and Billy Fairfield's sister, I think her name is Elizabeth or Liz, the Fairfield Sibs, the three of them would go off and have these global adventures, you see, because Billy Fairfield's uncle was a globalist. Yes, he was a globalist. And he had all these outposts all over the world. And he was industrialist. That's what they called globalists back then. They called them industrialists, because industrial was still something that America did. Industry was something America had. By the way, I'm just going to go on a little bit of a rant here. I'm going to get into readings. So 510-818, I know you're listening. Hang in there. I will get to you, okay? I will reward your patience. We'll be doing free readings today. Tell your friends. Get online. Tell your friends. Text your friends. Put it on Twitter. I'm open for business. So I'll be getting to the readings, but I just want to talk about this Armstrong thing because I think it's interesting. So this is what Jack Armstrong, this is what he symbolized. He would go around the world with his buddies, and they'd get into these adventures, and they would take on evil, whatever evil was. This was a very, very popular show. And the whole idea, the notion of the serial or the serial thriller really came out of Jack Armstrong because it was very early, and its main sponsor was Wheaties. You can see what their target market was. It was the youth. It wasn't just children. It was this adolescent phase where minds are being molded and moved into adulthood. So there's a whole set of values, very American values, that were also espoused during Jack Armstrong, the all-American boy. And so they would go to these adventures all around the world, and they would strike down evil, and they would be done. And they would then they come back home, And Jack Armstrong, of course, was an athlete and all this other stuff. So he represents the adolescence of America. And then we fast forward. Oh, by the way, Jack Armstrong, the All-American boy, had some had a film treatment. It also had a TV treatment, which was very interesting, and it manifested in the 60s. And some of you may be more familiar with this version of Jack Armstrong. Jack Armstrong became Johnny Quest, and that's what the Johnny Quest cartoon series, Hanna-Barbera cartoon series, was modeled after. So Johnny Quest became became Lance Armstrong, and the industrialist became his father and his buddy Race Bannon. And if you look at those guys, they look like they just stepped off of a Tom of Finland poster. This always happens when I'm doing this show right at this time. It always happens. The same caller, and I know who this caller is. Funny. Anyway, so his friends, Billy and his sister, they were replaced by Haji. And if you go to my blog, you'll see there's a very interesting correlation with Haji and a famous figure, a currently famous figure. So what they were already doing with Johnny Quest is they were massaging people's psyches to embrace kind of this more globalist, internationalist, multinational and diverse paradigm, the diversity paradigm. You can see that. You can go to my blog and check that out. So Jack Armstrong becomes Johnny Quest. So the second phase of the Armstrong Trinity is Neil Armstrong, and that represents the next adventure, which is the man on the moon, or the next quest, the man in the moon. And Neil Armstrong it's almost like if Jack Armstrong grew up, he would have become Neil Armstrong. Do you follow me? This is the progression. So Neil Armstrong is really the last true American hero. I mean, there were no war heroes in Vietnam because it was a war that was not created for heroism. That war was crafted for failure and demoralization. So there could really be no war heroes. The closest you get to a war hero, I suppose, is John McCain, who spent time in the Hanoi Hilton, Manchurian candidate John McCain. Maybe Randy Cunningham, who was potentially a war hero, but he's in jail now. He was a congressman from California, and he was the congressman from my district in San Diego when I lived there, and now he's in jail. Actually a very, very rare example of somebody in Congress going to jail. And what did he go to jail for? Well, he went to jail because he pissed somebody off. He did somebody wrong. He was on the take with some military contractors and lobbyists. Made a lot of money off them, but who doesn't? Who doesn't make money off those people in Congress? So Neil Armstrong was really, in a lot of ways, the last American hero, with the exception of Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. Now, if we look at the Trinity, where Jack Armstrong is the fictional hero, Jack Armstrong is the meme, Jack Armstrong is the marketing model and the paradigm for America, the metaphor. Then we look at Neil Armstrong as the moving from the imagination of the American hero of Jack Armstrong into the ideation and the actualization of the American hero with Neil Armstrong, and that would be the lineage and the transition from myth and metaphor to actual persona. Now, Lance Armstrong comes along, and he becomes the third hero, or the third part of the Armstrong Trinity. And why does he show up, and how does he show up? Well, he shows up because he cheats death. That's what Lance Armstrong did. He cheated death. Lance Armstrong, if you don't know anything about his background, he was always a very good athlete, and he had tumors in his brain, on his lungs, and in his testicles. I think he had to have one testicle removed. So this was a guy who, for all intents and purposes, was going to die. And because he, and this is the narrative, because he had such a great will to live, and a great will to transcend and endure the suffering and transcend his condition, he became an icon. And not only did he do that, but he also wound up winning 7 Tour de France medals. Here's that number 7 again. This is the 7th anniversary of Katrina. Armstrong had his 7 medals taken away just last week when the sun moved into Virgo. And the Virgo sun, I looked at Lance Armstrong's chart, and he has Jupiter and Neptune conjunct in Sagittarius in 0 degrees. And I can get into that a little bit more. Maybe I'll do that later in the show after I take a few calls. But the sun in Virgo squared Neptune and squared his Jupiter right at that time. And then what we have just days after that, really maybe 2 days after that, is the death of Neil Armstrong. So the reason why Lance Armstrong became prominent was because there was the rebirth of the notion of the hero. And the rebirth of the notion of the hero through the Armstrong Trinity takes place because he beats cancer. He's at death's door, and he beats it. He's reborn. This notion of the Armstrong, just listen to that name, Armstrong, right? It's not I don't know, Dinwiddie. It's Armstrong. So he's reborn. He's like the Phoenix. Lance Armstrong is like the Phoenix in many ways, especially for the Armstrong brand. And he winds up winning, again, the 7 medals in the Tour de France. And he's also using EPO. Everybody at that time was using EPO. And it was just the way to compete. And the reason why he did not get caught is because he had very sophisticated means of masking his EPO. And all of his cyclists, or his teammates for the postal team, they all knew it. And they probably all did it too. Floyd Landis did, and he got popped. So cycling is a very interesting sport. It's kind of a team sport in a weird way. But it's also very, very mercurial. It is Mercury. And Lance Armstrong is a triple Virgo with Sun, Moon, and Mercury all conjunct. Well, not all conjunct, but they're all in Virgo. Lance Armstrong was born, I believe, the 21st, if I'm not mistaken, of September. I think it's the 21st. So he's right at the end of Virgo. But this whole notion of perfection is very much integrated in a part of his chart. And so now we have the metaphoric death of Lance Armstrong, and then we have the physical death of Neil Armstrong, which really is, in many ways, the symbolic death of America. So this is a very precarious time that we're in right now. If we look at this from a symbolic level with the passing of these two identities who are so closely aligned with this Armstrong symbol, or this Armstrong meme of America as this wide-eyed, enthusiastic, very capable, very able entity on the world stage, which can get out of any situation with enough with moxie and intelligence and improvisational skills and some baling wire, bubble gum, and a couple of paper clips. And that, with the passing of Neil Armstrong and the metaphoric or the symbolic passing of Lance Armstrong, that has come to an end. Now, what's interesting is that Lance Armstrong has had more donations than ever dedicated or donated to his Livestrong Foundation. And his corporate sponsors have not left him. They're all there. They're all standing by him. So on another level, there's also this cryogenically frozen component of who he is, which is not being impacted by what happened with the anti-doping agency last week, where he basically threw in the towel and said, go ahead, take him. I'm done. And this, by the way, is something that a lot of people who have believed in Lance Armstrong, this is what they don't understand. Lance has fought everything. and won. Lance fought cancer. Lance beat cancer, not just any cancer. 3 kinds of cancer in 3 places in his body. Lance beat the fact that he may never be able to have a kid again, and so he froze his sperm, and his first wife had his child. He beat that. He beat all his competition in the Tour de France, 7 of them. 7 Tour de France's, beat them all. He beat the French in terms of them going after him and robbing anyone else of the opportunity to win the Tour de France. He beat them. So Lance Armstrong has not backed down from any challenge. And so when he essentially threw in the towel on Friday, many people were shocked, especially people that followed him. And the reason why he threw in the towel really is because, number one, if you get into a legal tussle with the United States government, they will, 9 times out of 10, they will win. And if they don't win, they will drain every single last cent that the individual has because the resources are too enormous. So I think he ultimately saw that as going to be a drain on his resources. That's number one. And number two, there's probably going to be some, if it went to a trial, then all those guys that raced with him, they would have talked. And I don't think he wanted that. So he stepped away. And it was smart because he was not going to win on any front. Not on any front. So therefore, he had everything stripped. Yet at the same time, there was a lot of groundswell support for him. Like him or not, love him or not, there are people that still believe in him, believe in the message that you can't overcome this, rotten disease and all these conditions in your life. He remains a symbol of hope. And clearly, with the amount of donations that he's received, that's a candle that's burning bright. And it's interesting, too, in terms of timing as it relates to the GOP convention, just days before the GOP convention. And I've said this before in the show, that I believe that, and I am not necessarily a Lance Armstrong lover or hater. I don't despise the guy if he used, EPO or anything else, because that is the name of the game right now. If you ain't cheating, you ain't playing. And it goes for any sport. I'm telling you, this is where we are. And it's hypocritical. It's absolutely hypocritical to hold these people to one standard while we traffic another standard all throughout society. It's hypocritical. I don't have any problem with him using. I don't. Okay? But if you look at it from the timing perspective, it happens right before the GOP convention. Lance Armstrong is a dyed-in-the-wool Republican and a Bush supporter, and he's also Caucasian. So since there is a fair amount of race baiting going on within the context of this current election from both sides, it would behoove one side to isolate and target an individual that was white, Republican, connected to Bush, and stands for a certain type of value, a certain type of achievement, and to be able to take that person down and then have that as kind of a broad spectrum, symbolic ritual sacrifice. It's a tarring and a feathering of an American icon, and not just any American icon, a white Republican American icon. So the theme could be, oh yeah, see what I'm telling you? Another phony. There's another phony. They're all phony. They're all fakes. You can't trust them. That is the undercurrent here, okay? That's how I see it. And who oversees the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency? Well, it's Eric Holder. And in the blog, I essentially say if they use this kind of muscle and oversight on the SEC, 3/4 of Wall Street would be in jail. So again, I think the whole thing is utterly hypocritical, And I'm not a fan of Lance Armstrong either way. He does not spiritually move me. But I also am not condemning him for what he did, because everybody did it. It's just the way it was. Now, do you want to parade around like you're, some, ethical standard for everybody to live towards? I don't really think he did that. Although he certainly didn't shun it. There's an interesting, with 0 degrees, let's get this back into astrology, he's got Neptune and Jupiter at 0 degrees, Sagittarius, exact conjunction. And 0 degrees is an interesting degree because it's the most potent degree that you can get with any sign. Any sign that's at 0 degrees, if you have a planet at 0 degrees, pay attention to that planet. It's a big planet for you, and it's an area of significant strength, and theoretically should be maximized in the chart and in the life. So maybe we'll look at 0 degree planets if you've got one in your chart today. So Jupiter in Sagittarius is about athletics. It's about sports. It's about the outdoor world. It's about adventure. So 0 degrees Jupiter in Sagittarius is very, very powerful. Very powerful. It means he's a natural athlete, a big time natural athlete. And then you throw Neptune into the mix on top of that, and it becomes inspirational, right? Because Neptune it's Pisces, and there is a sense of idol worship with Pisces at times. There's a lot of projection that takes place. There's also, with Neptune, drugs, liquids, supplements, conjuncting Jupiter, expanding. So I don't, if you looked at his chart, you could certainly see this. He also has Mars in Aquarius, and I think it's 14 degrees or 12 degrees. I think it's 14. Mars in Aquarius at 14 degrees. And he also has the mean node in Aquarius at exactly the same degree. Mars in Aquarius is all about science and using science to enhance the will or enhance the body, which Mars. So we can actually see where this could be very much a part of his chart and part of his MO. So anyway, there are some very interesting connections. The 0 degrees also in astrology can be 30 degrees because we go from 1 to 29, and there's no chart that's really 30 degrees. Like, you're not 30 degrees Libra, you're 0 degrees Libra or 0 degrees Aries or whatever that is. But at the same time, just like in the Tarot, the 0 degree is also the 22nd degree, because it's everything and nothing. And it's everything before it as well. So it's the 0 card in Tarot is the Fool, and it's also the universe or the world, depending on what deck you use, right? So if we look at the 0 degrees in the Sabian symbols, it's a very interesting Sabian symbol, and it has to do with the Pope and Pope energy. And let me see if I can just find it. Hold on. I should have had this in the pre-production moment of the show when I sat down with my producers and actually went over today's show with them. Shame on you, producers. Let's just punch this up here. Hold on. I could just go to my website and I could just read it off of my web page, but I don't want to do that. Where do I want to go? Let's see. It is going to be. Is this it? Let's just go here. See if, no, that's not it. Let's go. Oh man, hold on. I'm going to get there. Pardon me. I didn't get much sleep last night. I was restless. I'm a restless soul these days. All right, hold on. Let's just go here. By the way, Linda Hill's website is a really cool website. I heartily recommend it. She's got the Sabian Symbols website. So the degree for Sagittarius, the 0 degree, theoretically, is the Pope blessing the faithful. And one of the things that comes out with this symbol. And let me see if I can find the actual. So I can find the actual meaning here as by Rudyard. The Dane. So let me go to Sabian symbol meanings. Let's try this. See if we can find the Dane Rudyard interpretation, because this is really a very interesting interpretation. It totally nails the Lance Armstrong piece. So here it is. This is a Sabian. So if you want to go, all right, this is a great site, by the way, and I might actually put this in the chat room just in case people ever want to go here. If somebody has taken the time to put every single Sabian symbol online, let me just put it right here. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's put this right here. Oh man, I can't. Sometimes, let's say, sometimes Blog Talk is a little. It gets my goat sometimes. Hold on. Here we go. Let's try this. All right. Forget it. So let's just read this. It's on. If you want to look it up, okay. If you want to look it up, just do Sabian symbols meaning Dane Rudyard, Rudhyar, and it's a Mindfire website. It will show up as one of the first links. It has every single Sabian symbol translated, and you can just look them up. I just noticed that Gates is a 0 degrees Sabian symbol. She's in the chat room. So let's get into this. Here we go. It says, keep this in mind. This is where Jupiter and Neptune are in Lance Armstrong's chart, okay? It says the need to pay homage to traditional values upon which the invisible community of the spirit is built. The concrete integration of myriads of human individuals within a great religious institution with a long tradition reflects, as well as having produced century after century, an invisible spiritual community. This is a very interesting sentence I'm about to read, which I'm going to go back to. Are you ready? Okay. The flag bearer, now the flag bearer is 26, Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is where my Jupiter is, by the way. And we could call the flag bearer in battle. My Jupiter in Sag is right there. The flag bearer has now become the Pope, who assumes the role of God's representative on earth. It is a role, but culture is based on embodying great images and deeply moving symbols in physical reality. The symbol asks of the individual, are you willing to live a transpersonal life as a symbol? Okay, keep in mind, this is 0 degrees Jupiter and 0 degrees Neptune, very prominent in Lance Armstrong's chart. Are you willing to live a transpersonal life as a symbol? As a symbol, right? This is the final and supreme statement of that section of the cycle of the year represented by Sagittarius. Here's where it gets really interesting. This concludes scene 18. A collectivity of human beings is seen having transferred their sense of spiritual value to a man who has become an incarnation of their common ideal. This Sabian symbol, times 2, Neptune and Sagittarius, expansion and dissolve, very powerful planets at 0 degrees, aka 30, are really the core of Lance Armstrong. Let me read that sentence again. This concludes scene 18. A collectivity of human beings is seen having transferred their sense of spiritual value to a man who has become an incarnation of their common ideal. Keywords: personalized worship. It can be a blessing or, in some cases, a curse. Now let's go back to the flag bearer. The flag bearer has now become the Pope. What do we associate Neil Armstrong with more than almost any other thing? He's the guy that put the flag, the American flag, on the moon. If you buy into the moon landing. Right? Neil Armstrong was the flag bearer. Now, Neil Armstrong is a Leo, so astrologically he's not the flag bearer. But incarnationally, in that lifetime, or in that moment, he was. And here we see the flag bearer becoming the Pope, who is actually Lance Armstrong. The Pope of Hope. That's what Lance Armstrong is. And now Lance Armstrong has been taken away. Neil Armstrong had heart surgery, and after the heart surgery, he died. Okay? So, I don't know. Weird stuff. It's very weird. And but Lance, he's not done. Lance also invokes Lancelot, and everything that Lancelot also stands for. Lancelot Armstrong. Could you get more mythic than that? I don't think so. Okay, let's. You want to do some readings? Who wants to do readings? Raise your hand. Yay for readings. Yeah, flag that blew in that strong moon wind, exactly. And they had to, after that, they actually had to take the flag and make it flat for any other supposed moon landings after that. Let's go local. This is my neighborhood, affectionately known as the Five and Dime. Let's see who's on the line and waiting to chat. Hello there.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Who's this?
My name is Liana.
Hey, Liana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to this.
Well, let's see now. You live in the East Bay, is that right?
I do.
Okay, well, we're neighbors. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. All right.
So I would like a mini reading.
Okay, you got it. Let me just get to the
Excellent.
Right window here. I'm a little sleep deprived today, so I might sound a little loopy, but I'll do my best to sally forth and channel the forces of clarity. Okay, so let's tell me about your astrological self. When were you born?
Okay, March 6th, 1952 at 10:25 p.m. in Manhattan, New York.
Okay. March 6th. Let's just go. Hold on. Let's go here. It's going to take me a second. Okay, it's Liana, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're female, March 6th. March 6th. 1952, year of the dragon.
Yes.
And what time was that again?
10:25 p.m.
10:25 p.m. Okay. 10:25 p.m. and that was in Manhattan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second here.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. We've almost got it. There we go. Come on down here. And bingo, there you are. Okay.
Yay.
Oh, you got a complex chart. A
Ooh.
lot going on there. Do you know anything about your chart at all?
I'm sorry?
Do you know much about your chart?
I know a little. Sun, moon, rising.
You have what's called a mystic rectangle, which is fairly uncommon. Yeah, and the mystic rectangle is it's a combination of sextiles and trines. So it would be the trine between Pluto and Jupiter, the sextile between Venus and Jupiter, the trine between Venus and Saturn, and then the sextile between Saturn and Pluto. And the thing that happens with the mystic rectangle is that anytime there's a transit over one of those angles, everything gets activated in the mystic rectangle. So, with cycles, you would be somebody that could go through very rapid change. So it wouldn't be like just one sector of your life. It would be 4 sectors of your life or 4 aspects of your life. So, for instance, I'm just seeing everything happens at around 16 degrees, between 16 and 18 degrees. So anytime you have anything that's around 16 to 18 degrees in the signs of Leo, Aquarius, Well, it's also interesting because not only do you have this mystic rectangle going on, but you also have the opposition between Venus and Pluto also in your chart. So, yeah, you've got, man, your chart is pretty wild. You also have a couple of you've got grand trines, you've got T squares. I mean, you got a lot happening here. But the mystic rectangle is anytime anything goes anything that happens in Libra, Leo, Aries, or Aquarius between like 12 and 18 degrees, you just need to watch those times of those aspects. For instance, you just went through your second Saturn return, and Saturn was in your 11th house, conjuncting your natal Saturn last year. So you want to go back to last year and see, well, what significantly happened in your life, what areas were impacted when Saturn was on your Saturn. And it was, I don't have, let me see if I get the ephemeris. I'll even tell you. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. So as I'm deconstructing your chart here a little bit, what exactly do you want me to look at?
Well, I have a very specific question.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a writer, but I've never been an author. Okay. And I showed some extraordinary writing talent as a young child, and I'm considering writing a book or several. Okay. And I want to know if this is a lofty goal, if this is realistic. Is this in keeping with the themes of my chart?
Well, it is never a lofty goal. I think writing is a great goal to have, for sure. I'm just trying to see this date. Okay, you want to go back to like April of last year, and that's when Saturn was really directly on your Saturn. And at that time, a couple of things would have occurred for you. You would have been very clear on who is your friend and who isn't your friend in your life, because Saturn was in your 11th house. So you would have a lot of clarity around friendships and relationships. There may have been friendships and relationships that you would have pared away. There could have been a friendship or a relationship that you would have also at the same time held very close to your heart and said, you're with me for life, or we're lifers, or something along those lines. But again, it would have impacted all those other angles in your chart. Even your Pluto, which is right on your midheaven, by the way. Having Pluto on your midheaven is very intense, super intense. It means that you're a transformational agent, that you're here. It's Pluto's in Leo, so you also need to be creative. So if you're going to do writing, it needs to be creative writing.
Okay.
Before I ask you what kind of books you want to write, let me just tell you, you have Moon in the 9th house, and your Moon is in Cancer. And the 9th house is the house of publishing. And you have Sun trine Moon. And that's really powerful. Mercury trine Moon as well. And Mercury in your chart is in Pisces. You have Sun also in Pisces. So Mercury is the planet of expression, communication. And it is in a nice trine with the Moon. So what do you do when you write or communicate? You hopefully you get it published, and then you send it out to the masses. So you can be published. The Moon is part of a major grand trine for you, which includes Mars and Scorpio, which we're going to talk about today. By the way, you're going to have a Mars return not too far.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And then Mars trines your Sun, and it's just you've got a lot of really great aspects in your chart. Okay, so the answer to your question is being a writer out of the question for you. My answer, unequivocally, no. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
And if I want to reframe it into the affirmative, I would say, should I be a writer? My answer would be unequivocally yes. Or could I be a writer? Yes.
Willing.
Okay. Now it comes down
much.
Now it comes down to what kind of writing. Okay, don't say anything, right? But I'm going to tell you that based on what I'm seeing here, that the type of writing that you'd be very, very good at, and I hope that this is not a dirty word to you, okay? Romance novels. You'd be very... You'd be very good at romance novels. Number one, you've got Moon in Cancer in the 9th house. That's women. That's emotion. That's love. You've got Mars, Sun in Pisces in the 4th house. Again, Cancer, women. And not just women, it's more along the lines of, sort of the sacred notion of women, and women as sort of this legacy of fertility and, borderline sainthood. The people like to use bandy about the word goddess. This is what we're beginning to approach here with Sun and Pisces in the 4th house. Mm-hmm. And Mercury also is part of that 5th house. It's got to be creative. Your writing must be creative because it's in the 5th house. And the 5th house is all about the heart. The 5th house is about romance. It's about romance. It's about love. Now, if you want to throw a spiritual overlay or you want to weave spiritual elements into it, absolutely. You've got all that Pisces energy in your chart. Pisces also is very much related to the Gothic tradition, Wuthering Heights and things like that. So,
right.
So a Gothic sort of, this sort of otherworldly feel could come quite easily to you. You also have Neptune, by the way, in the 12th house, which is an interesting place to have Neptune, especially because it opposes Jupiter in your chart. So you need to be able to somehow channel that Neptunian energy in a way that can be helpful to you instead of scattering and dispersing, which is what the Neptune-Jupiter opposition could do. You could start off with really great ideas, and they would never materialize sometimes with Jupiter opposing Neptune. You need help. And with Neptune trining Venus in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius is a fixed sign. And right now in your chart, it sits at the nadir. So it's right at, it's right at the center, the bottom of your chart, right in the IC. And it's sort of the gatekeeper to the 4th. And opposing Venus is that Pluto right up there in the 10th. So if you want to write, my advice to you is to have a partner and somebody who can keep you on point, somebody who can say, Leona, where's your 500 words today? Or not even that, not even like a writing coach, but somebody who would collaborate with you and say, oh, that's a great idea. What if, so-and-so did such and such? You say, oh, that's a really great idea. Let's integrate that into the story. Venus in Aquarius is fixed, and you need some of that fixed energy in your chart to deal with that Neptune in Libra in the 12th house. And then you theoretically, and Venus is in the 3rd house, which is the house of writing, right, and communication. So then theoretically, you could take that energy and then shoot it up to the 10th house and Pluto and Leo, right to the midheaven. I think if you want to write and you want to be successful, find somebody who can collaborate with you. That will give you your best shot, okay?
Wow. That's an incredible reading.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, does it make sense? Does it make sense to you?
Yes. It sounds like the raw material is there, and I just have to get it together.
You do. You've got a great chart. You've got a really profound chart.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I had nothing to do with it. That's all I knew. I'm just looking at.
You're so clear, and even with the detail, everything is so easy to understand. So I so appreciate your.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Here's what you do. You call us back in 6 months, and you say, I just sent my first novel to the printer.
Will do. Thank you so much, Robert.
All right, Leona, take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, it was Leona. She's been on the show before. I know that voice. Let's go to the 360. They've been holding for 40 minutes. Hello there.
Hello, this is Roseanne.
Hi, Roseanne. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good today, thank you. Where are you calling from?
Just outside of Olympia, Washington.
I used to live there. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, you do that?
Well, I heard you say it on a previous show.
Yeah. Do you live in Tenino?
No, outside of Yelm.
Oh, outside of Yelm. Isn't that where what's her name, Jay-Z Knight lives?
Yeah, it is. That's the only way people know Yelm.
I know. Well, they have a racetrack too, a dirt track, or like a small car track there in Yelm too, right?
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, they used to. I'm sorry. Enough about Yelm and more about you. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I've never had my chart done before, and I've been listening to your show, and I'm really interested to know more about myself because I'm 47, and it's time that I move towards the light.
Ah, I like that. Okay. All right. So Joanne, right?
No, Roseanne.
Roseanne, my bad.
And I was born in New York City.
Okay, hold on. All right. So we got. Let's just keep that last place. Okay. What day?
February 18th in 65.
Okay. All right. And what time?
4:33 Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon.
Okay, great. All right. So here you are. Now, have you had your chart done before?
No, I haven't.
All right.
I just know I'm on the cusp of Pisces, and I'm pretty much a true Aquarian.
Here's what I have for you. I got you as a 0 degrees Pisces.
0 degrees Pisces.
Yeah. And I've been talking about 0 degrees this morning, So that's a pretty interesting turn of events. You have a Libra moon, which is quite nice, by the way, and Leo on the ascendant. So that's a really good combination of fixed sign. Leo in the ascendant gives you some staying power, some willpower, the ability to, stay the course, and leadership. People that have fixed aspects in their chart can display leadership qualities. Then you also have the mutable energy of Pisces with your sun, and then you have cardinal energy with the moon and Libra. So it's a nice balance with those first three planets, or the two planets and your ascendant of a broad spectrum of the three modalities, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. You've got them nicely too.
Balance.
So yeah, there's some balance there for sure. And you have the majority of your planets show up in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. You have Mercury in Aquarius, Sun in Pisces, and Saturn also in the sign of Pisces. So right now, Neptune is on your sun. And Neptune it hit your sun last year, and it will be on your sun roughly for about another 1.5 to 2 years in a very close orb, 1, 2, 3 degrees. I mean, even if it's like 4 or 5 degrees, and that's, easily 4 to 5 years out, you're still going to feel the influence of Neptune on your sun. So,
nice.
So when you say, or when you make a comment or a statement like, I want to move closer to the light, or I want to feel the light, that is a very Neptune conjunct Sun kind of statement.
Oh.
Because if you go into the subtext of that, what does that really mean? Well, it means that you want to get closer to God. I mean, that's really what that means.
Yes.
And Neptune conjunct Sun is all about that. It's all about, what do I need to do to strip away the impediments so I can have a more intimate relationship with the source of my life and the source of all life. And that's where the energy is taking you in your life right now. It's a very important time for you, extremely important, because you epitomize, just like how Lance Armstrong sort of epitomized athleticism and achievements with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Sagittarius. You epitomize Piscean spirituality, which is all about dissolving, all about melting, all about merging. 0 degrees Sun is the most potent aspect of Pisces, with maybe the exception of 29 degrees Pisces, because at 29 degrees Pisces, then it becomes something very interesting. It's the final stage of, of really the Piscean age in some ways. But 0 degrees is fascinating and quite profound. So at this time, everything in your life really needs to be oriented towards that goal. Now, the challenge is is that you would be really well suited to achieve this goal or to approach this goal. And the goal is not even a good word, this desire, with the help of another person, because the seventh house is all about one-on-one relationships. I don't know if you're married. I don't know if you've got a significant other. I don't know where they are in your life, but if we're
going to be married 30 years, but we're not moving in the same direction. I feel like I'm moving, and he's an Aquarian too, and I feel like I'm moving more in my own speed at my own desire, almost like separate lives under the same roof.
Well, that would make sense because of Neptune. Okay, so now let me say this. Your seventh house starts with Aquarius. You've got Venus in Aquarius conjunct the cusp of your seventh house. So we read Venus as a seventh house planet. And you also have Mercury in Aquarius, so there is a very strong connection with your husband. He's your husband, is that right?
Yes.
So he's an Aquarian. We cannot discount the fact that this has been a destined relationship based on your chart.
Yes.
Now that said, your seventh house is also shared by Pisces, and really your sun, SUN, is right in the middle of the seventh house. So it's right on. Even though the cusp is at 16 degrees, the cusp is at 16 degrees Aquarius. The middle of that house is at 0 degrees Pisces. So it's right in the middle there. And then you've got Saturn on the other side of it. And what's going to happen is that Chiron is conjunct Saturn right now in your seventh house. So obviously what you're going to see is where you're connected and where you're disconnected with Chiron on your Saturn in terms of your relationships, okay? That's what you're going to see. You're going to see at times also glaring imperfection.
Agreed.
Okay. Now, you have to temper this a little bit. And you have to ask yourself, am I projecting that glaring imperfection from myself onto my husband? And I'm not saying that you are, but you have to ask.
Myself thinking that sometimes.
You have to ask the question, okay? And then if you're rigorously honest with yourself, because you have Mercury in Aquarius, which is very, very objective. Mercury in Aquarius is very objective, and it's all about data. It wants scientifically proven data. So it's actually a really good place for you to have Mercury. So you can be objective. You can step back. You can look at that mirror. So, but that's part of what you're going through. And at the same time, you're also asking yourself, well, I have a need in my heart. I have a desire to grow closer to something larger than myself. And I don't know how to do it, and I don't know where that something is. But I don't think that need is misplaced. I think it's very timely in your life. And I think the most important thing that you can do with that is to live in the question, to live with this sense of, I wouldn't call it divine discontent. It would be more like, divine curiosity or divine. You want to be able to cultivate this sense of, I know you're around me somewhere. That kind of feeling. It's like, I'm in the garden, I'm searching, I know you're around me somewhere. Show me, show me, show me, right? And if you do that, and you cultivate that feeling, because Pisces is all about feeling. If you cultivate that feeling, this deeper connection that you're yearning for, wanting to experience, will show itself. Trust me. And I'll tell you, the one time that it will show itself, where you will be very surprised, will be with your husband. And I'm not saying that your journeys are going to stay together, okay? Because what you want to do now is you want to merge beyond really the bonds and the bounds of your relationship with your husband with something greater. That I can see. But if you go about your search or your journey or your quest and you ask the question and you ask it with all your heart, that you'll see your husband show up at times in a way that you will not be necessarily prepared. You'll say, oh my God, well, I'm seeing him in a different light now. So all you're really doing is asking to be shown. Now, he may show up also in a very different way too. You'll have to, factor that in. But I think really I think the most important thing with that conjunction, because Chiron is there as well, and Neptune's going to move onto your Saturn, really onto it in about 1.5 to 2 years, and you're going to have Neptune on Saturn, and this will become the most important thing in your life. Trust me on this.
Oh, I can feel it. So what you're saying is just keep living in the moment. Keep living in your passion.
Keep living in the passion and keep living in the cultivation of the sense that I know I'm going to meet you. I know I'm going to meet you. Right? That's faith, right?
Right.
Not that you don't exist, but I know I'm going to meet you and I can't wait till I meet you, right?
That expectation.
Expectancy versus expectation.
Yes.
Expectancy, like, aha, I can feel it, I can feel it, I can feel it. And I'm telling you, with Neptune on your sun, you will feel it, and you will see it, and it will emerge, and it will breathe into your life. Then all you got to do is check your sources, and after that, you're fine, right? So, I think that's the best place for you to hang out. Now, really quickly, you also have Pluto. You're part of this generation that has Pluto and Uranus conjunct, which is a very interesting generation. You have them separated by 2 degrees. They're in your second house. Pluto next year in Capricorn gets to 11 degrees. So you're going to have a Pluto-Pluto trine. You're going to have the beginnings of the Pluto. Actually, you're going to have a Pluto-Uranus trine and the beginning of a Pluto-Pluto trine. Because Pluto and Uranus are in your second houses, the Pluto transit is going to fundamentally shift all your values when it begins to trine those planets, and not necessarily in a bad way, okay? It's going to shift your values, and you're going to ask yourself, well, what can I do, right? Because the seeking is very Piscean, right? It's very Piscean. And then once you have the seeking, then there's the service. That's Virgo, right. And that opposes your Saturn in Pisces, and also your Chiron in Pisces as well. So the second part to this will be, okay, now that I'm seeking, how can I serve? And Pluto trining Uranus and trining Pluto in your second house is going to shift your values, and then you're going to be living your life accordingly to that shift. And Pluto is in your 5th house, transiting right now. So a lot of this is going to have to do with your heart and finding your heart and finding your passion and finding your will to live, and then essentially sharing that with people. That's what it's going to boil down to. So
that's amazing.
That's the question.
Because I feel like my passion is food and growing food and being a part of that organic movement. And I just started to serve by volunteering at my co-op.
Beautiful. You're on the path.
I think I am. You're fascinating. I love this show.
Well, thank you for calling in, and thank you for loving the show. I appreciate that. Tell your friends.
I will. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Here we go. That's how we do it. Okay, let's go to the 646 line. See who they are, what they want to talk about. Hello there.
Hey, Robert, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. What's your name?
My name is Anthony, calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey, Anthony. So, where do you want to go today?
Where do I want to go?
Yeah, it's your bus. You're steering. I'm in the passenger seat.
I've not been to Hawaii.
Oh, you've not been to Hawaii? This is in a metaphorical sense, but Hawaii is a nice place, man. It's a very nice place, trust me. I'll tell you the thing about Hawaii. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Hawaii is like this. It's like this dream generator. It's like living right on top of the matrix. And if you are in conflict inside of yourself in Hawaii, you will get your ass kicked in Hawaii. That's just the way it is. It's very, very primal. It's Lemurian. Hawaii is Lemurian. But if you're living in a really good place, and you're living from a place of accord, well, it's paradise. So if you ever go to Hawaii, just do your best to be clear and be open, and you'll have a great time there. So what about your chart? Where do you want to go today with your chart?
I guess career. I mean, like career. I actually, made this decision for my job recently, and it was. I was feeling like energy being pulled out of like my solar plexus region of my heart chakra region. I guess it's the heart chakra region, and I don't want to know where it's going to lead.
So are you saying that, like in your current gig, that you have a challenge expressing yourself through those two chakras?
So I'm basically saying that I had recently left my current gig because I was feeling like the energy being pulled out of those.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you felt like it was getting sucked out of you.
Yeah, it felt like I was being literally drained when I was there. I was just,
When was that?
When did I leave?
Yeah.
On Monday.
Oh, Monday.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. When's your birthday?
6/30/70.
Okay. So let's go here. Okay. And what time?
5:21. My birth chart says 5:21.
Is that AM or PM?
I want to say PM.
All right. If you want to say it, then that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it says PM, but I think one time I had gotten it rectified and I said it was AM. I wasn't sure.
So should I go PM or AM? What do you want me to do?
Tuition said go AM.
AM.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. We're switching around now. All right. And where were you born?
In Brooklyn.
Okay. With 3 New York callers right in a row. That's fascinating. Okay. So, all right. Here's what I have you with your chart. I've got you as a Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if we look at this notion of you leaving that job because your heart and your third chakra were being depleted, I think that this is in alignment with your ascendant, because the most important thing that maybe I could share with you during our brief time together here on the radio is that you need to be able to trust your instincts. You need to be able to trust your intuition, especially as it relates to your body. You're very psychic with Sun in Cancer and also Mercury Cancer. There's that 0 degree again. It's a theme now for the show. It's officially a theme. The 0 degrees Mercury in Cancer, very, very psychic. It's in the 12th house, which is the house of, I call the 12th house the house of the soul. That's my definition of the 12th. Not everybody shares that definition with me. That's my definition, because my experience with the 12th house, you also have 0 degrees moon in Gemini, by the way. My definition of the 12th house is it's away from the world. It's away from all the distractions. I mean, typically the 12th house would be monasteries, temples. It would be insane asylums, prisons. So it's things that are shut away from the world. And what do you do theoretically in all those places? Well, you get in touch with your soul, no matter where you are in those places. I tell you, you go to prison. One of the things that's going to happen is you're going to figure out, who you are. What happened to Mike Tyson when he went to prison? He started reading the Quran and he started reading Das Kapital. This is not an uncommon theme. So for me, the 12th house is the house of the soul. And you have planets there. You have 2 of them. You have Moon, which opposes Neptune. You have Mercury. You're a very sensitive guy. You have Mercury in Cancer there. So the key for you, Anthony, is you need to get in touch with your soul. That's really important. And how do you do that? Well, meditation would be one way. Yoga would be another way. Whatever it is that you find to be meditative, it doesn't necessarily have to be classically those things. But you need to be able to tap into the small, still voice inside of yourself. And also the way that you would sort of road test that and be get the litmus from it is, how do you feel? How does your body feel? Very important to pay attention with your body with Sun in Cancer right on your ascendant. And I mean right on your ascendant. Your ascendant is 5 degrees Cancer, and your Sun is 8 degrees Cancer, just 3 degrees off. So, you must trust your feeling. So if you left your job and said, I'm done with this, it's sucking the life force and the love out of me, I'd bet good money that you made the right choice. Because what other barometer are you going to have? Is it going to be what society says or what your parents said? What your bank account says? Maybe the last part might have some, say in the matter, but ultimately it always comes down to you personally, or you in the collective sense of you. But it comes down to you, and you must feel whatever you feel, and you must feel drawn towards something too. Not only repelled, but drawn towards something. That's the other component to this. So, my question to you would be, what do you feel drawn to?
I feel drawn to writing, children, teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Those things.
Okay. You have a very nice angle as far as children goes. You have Jupiter in the 5th house, and the 5th house is the house of children and love and play and creativity. And you have Jupiter very nicely aspected in Libra. So there's a lot of fairness, there's a lot of synergy, there's a lot of win-win energy around Jupiter in the 5th house. It can also be very, very creative. And your Mercury in Cancer, even though it's at 0 degrees, it's in a wide trine with Jupiter in the 5th house. So here we have the ability to be inspired, with Mercury in the 12th house, and you could actually, be of great service to children if you wanted to pursue something along those lines. Also, writing would be quite good. The key for you with that writing is to get that energy, that 12th house energy from your Mercury out of that 12th house. Now, your Mercury does conjunct your Sun, which means you're very, very psychic. The people that have Mercury conjunct Sun also tend to be quite intelligent. So if you want to write, if you want to bring that Mercury in Cancer, out into the world so that you can write, you want to focus on the 5th house, which is play, creativity, children, passion, and in some ways passion with a purpose, and then also connect it to your identity. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to write about your experiences. Writing in the first person would be a very good thing with Mercury conjunct Sun. So to bring, tell people about, what it is, or you could even create a fictional character based on your experiences, but it would have to be first person. If you write in the first person and you relate it to the self, you'll be very successful in terms of wanting to get that information out. Because the way Mercury is set up in your chart, it needs the Sun. It needs the Sun to come out of the 12th house. And the Sun is your identity. And it's about what you're known for and who you're known as. And it's right out there. It's right on, wearing your identity on your sleeve. And don't be afraid to do that. The more that you can do that, and I know with Cancer, people that have Cancer could be reticent about that and want to retreat into the shell. But the more that you're able to be okay with that and okay with the vulnerability around that, the better you'll get at it, and the more people will want to relate to your experience. So I think that's for you writing. That's the key. You have a couple other things going on that are interesting. True node. Here's Pisces again. True node, 4 degrees. You've got Neptune right on your true node. So for you, it's not about the interpersonal search for truth and love and divine grace. It's more about the study and also the teaching of it. The 9th house is the house of teaching. So you have some teaching to do around things that are very close to your heart and that move you and move other people towards a sense of oneness. Neptune is there right now. Chiron is kind of dancing around your true node, so you may or may not feel entirely comfortable with this notion yet. But the closer that Neptune gets to your true node, you'll feel a sense of destiny. You're like, okay, this is time. I need to do this now. I need to bring whatever it is that I've been studying in this lifetime and all these other lifetimes. I got to bring it out in the world. I got to share it with people. Mm-hmm. So that really happens for you, or begins to happen 2012, 2013. And you also have Chiron in Aries, and Uranus is dancing with your Chiron right now, and that's pretty interesting. It's opposing your natal Uranus. So you've got a Uranus opposition. No wonder you quit your gig, because, with the Uranus opposition, especially because you have Uranus in Libra, if things aren't balanced in your life, you're going to move on. And Uranus is moving past Uranus, and it's already moved past it because it's at 6 degrees now, but it's moving towards Chiron. And the Uranus-Chiron conjunction will be fascinating for you, because you're going to be asked to take on some form of a leadership role, and it will happen to you almost surreptitiously. Like, I didn't really ask for this, but now you're asking this of me, and I'm being given this opportunity to lead and to be kind of an exemplar for people. Well, okay, I can't step away from it. So life circumstances and everything else that's going on. Let's say, for instance, if you got into this whole notion of, I'm going to be vulnerable, or I'm going to be sensitive, or I'm going to allow my identity to come out into the world, and I'm going to write in the first person, or I'm going to use my experiences as my calling card or my beacon in the world, then people will recognize you. And then once they recognize you, then at some point there will be this assemblage of events where Uranus conjuncts your Chiron, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we need you, step up, it's your time to do this. We're handing you an opportunity to, lead us in a certain direction. I don't necessarily know what that will look like, but I'm assuming it's going to have something to do with Neptune on your true node as well. But I think the two things are linked. So I think you made a good choice, and I think now you've got to align your life to begin to reflect that choice. And you can draw exactly what you need to you with that Cancerian sun. So I don't know what kind of thing you're going to work with in terms of, making money and getting by in the world and all the stuff we have to do right now, but allow your feelings to guide that. And then talk to people, be out there with it, and 9 times, my sense is that if you really understand it and feel it and embody it, and you share it with people, somebody will hear you and somebody will support you, and they'll say, you know what, I got something you can do. I like you. I like your heart. I like your conviction. Come on over here. So that's my sense with your chart right now.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Okay, man. So call back sometime and let us know how it goes, okay?
All right, definitely appreciate that.
Okay, see you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to this, I think this is Skype line. Let's see who this is. Hi, you're on the air with Robert.
Okay, let's go to this, I think this is Skype.
Hello?
This is.
Hi.
Hey, could you do me a favor and turn your speakers down a little bit?
I just did. I'm going to walk away from the computer altogether.
Don't tell me
Rob.
you're from New York too. Are you from New York too?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
This is the New York show today.
I know. New York, we like you. Tell me, for astrocartography, what is with you in New York? Is it nice points, nice aspects?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I have major lines going through New York.
Auspicious lines?
Very.
Am I probing? Oh, okay, good.
No, it's good. It's okay. No, I have a sun on my midheaven going through New York. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to move to New York in 2005. I had a job. The challenge for me is that I had a 6-month-old boy, and at that time, my wife and I worked for the same company.
Okay.
And we both were offered these jobs, and it was like a restart for this company. And my kid was 6 months old. It was the first and only grandchild that my parents would have had to, get to experience. And I thought to myself, plus my in my mind, my relationship with my wife at that time was kind of sketchy. We were having some challenging times, and also I've got Pluto and Neptune both running through Pluto and Neptune running through New York as well. So I have a kind of an interesting history with New York in terms of getting kind of wild with Pluto there. So I was concerned about how my life was going to unfold. We just had this kid, and I thought to myself, if I go to New York, I'm just going to be, I'm going to be in like an Abel Ferrara movie. It's just going to be off the charts, and I think I would have been very successal had I gone to New York in kind of a worldly sense. I know that actually, but I stayed because I wanted my mom and my dad to meet my kid, and they're not on the East Coast. They're here in California. So anyway, good question, good intuition. I do have major lines going through there.
Okay.
But it's good, because you bring up a really good point. Astrocartography does not have to be local. You can have people from other areas really show up and reflect that astrocartography. Today's show is an example of that, and you bringing it up clearly validates that. So,
I believe that if someone in New York has good thoughts about you, that will sort of ignite these lines too. This is my thought. Yeah.
And by the way, I love New York. I really do. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I love New Yorkers. I never understood this notion that people thought people from New York were rude. I never experienced that, ever.
Well, I have, and I'm a native New Yorker.
Yeah.
Well, I guess rudeness can be found anywhere, but, New York is Aries and Capricorn. It's ruled by Aries and Capricorn, no?
Yeah.
Those are really friendly signs, so it makes sense why others would feel that.
I found people, anytime I ever asked anybody directions or anything, they were always, they were intense, but they were never like, screw you, buddy. I never got that.
No, it would probably be hurried advice because they're in a rush. They're in transit, so it would definitely be swift. The pace is swift.
It is.
Hip hop was born here. That's for a reason. But I wanted to ask you, when you were speaking to a lady earlier about Venus opposed Pluto.
Yeah.
What about Venus? Is it quincux Pluto? How do those two energies differ? The opposition and the quincunxy.
I'm going to be really upfront with you. I really don't read the minor aspects.
Oh.
I don't. It's like I feel like that there's enough with the major aspects. And
but quincux is deemed minor?
Yeah, I mean, for me, in my definition of astrology, I'm kind of a weird astrologer. I'm not like a typical astrologer. Okay. I generally stay with what I would classify as the major aspects, which would be conjunctions, trines, sextiles, oppositions, and I generally find that there is enough there because if I wanted to, like if I really wanted to get into a chart and read semi-sextiles and quincunxes and quintiles, it's almost too much information for the individual to kind of like break down and assimilate. But if you want to know the energy around Venus, Pluto, quincunx, it would be how people reflect Plutonian energy back to you in relationship. Okay, the opposition is it's kind of like an opposition, and you would see the opposition much more clearly with Venus Pluto, but with a quincunx, it's closer, it's tighter. So you're in the relationship. It's not necessarily the other. So you're dealing much more on an intimate level with this whole concept of reflection. To me, that's how a quincunx would manifest with Venus and Pluto. So you would get into power. You would say, what is power? How do we share power? How do we reflect power? How do we push power back and forth? So the notion at that point in the relationship is, well, if we have power and we have these issues around power and we're so close that the that the reflection of power is not necessarily polarized, because what happens with oppositions is that you get into polarization, and then you get into power struggles. A quincunx allows you to see the energy of the power in the relationship much more close up and more along the lines of together versus the other. You know, with the oppositions, like such and such does that to me, okay? There's more of a sense of, okay, we do this together, and if we can do this together, if we're reflecting this together, then how can we manage and work with this energy? And the other thing with quincunxes also is that they can also evoke, especially with Pluto, they can evoke like other struggles or other dynamics from other relationships that also get played out in that relationship as well. So there's an echo effect with the quincunx in relationship as it relates to Pluto. So I think if you really want to get into it, you're using the quincunx as a point of, it's a dynamic point of what you want to do with power inside the relationship if you can move past. And Pluto, the Venus-Pluto thing is incredibly polarizing, and there can be a great attraction with the Venus-Pluto opposition, but within the quincunx, it becomes much more manageable and much more workable. That's my sense around it, while at the same time evoking also past experiences that you've had with that. Is this in your chart with another person or in your own chart?
My own chart, the Venus. I used to always think my Venus was opposite Pluto, but when someone inquired about the degrees, they said, no, that's quincunx, and they felt that was worse than opposition, because quincunx is 150 degrees, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's worse than an opposition. I actually think you have the opportunity, because I think the opposition, especially if you're dealing with Pluto, that's polarized. You know, I mean, Pluto it's a fixed planet. And with the quincunx, that energy is off at an angle. So I think that you have more to work with a quincunx. It's like you're dealing with the energy, but it's not completely opposite. You can find the angle to get to Pluto. You can find the angle to get to the inherent power which you can find inside of a relationship. I think with other, like for instance, if you were to do like maybe a Venus-Jupiter opposition, it's a very different opposition because Jupiter.
What if that's there too? Tell me more about the Venus-Jupiter opposition.
Well, Venus-Jupiter, first of all, Jupiter is it's a mutable sign, so it's a mutable planet, so it can be changeable, right? You can have a series of changes in relationship. There's a sense of expansion and possibility. Now, here's the good part. If you do have the Venus-Jupiter opposition and you have the Venus-Pluto quincunx, personally, I think that's a pretty decent combination to have, because you can have the mutability. You know, it's not fixed like it would be in Pluto. You can have the sense of possibility, which is what Jupiter. It can potentially expand relationship, right? And you can have the enthusiasm around being in a relationship. But then you can get into the quincunx and find the angle to deal with power inside the relationship, to deal with how it's reflected, and how you can work with it in a way, hopefully, would be new. Because again, my sense of the quincunx in this relationship or in this angle would be about evocation, and evocation around other power dynamics, other power struggles, other issues around power and relationship from the past. So you get to resolve these things with the quincunx, and that's my sense around this. I don't think that those are terrible angles, and I believe that the Jupiter, especially the Jupiter opposition, the only Jupiter opposition that I think can be a little sketchy sometimes is with Mercury, because you could have ADD with a Mercury-Jupiter opposition, and it's all about trying to bring all these opportunities into your life in a way that can stick. But by and large, I'm not afraid of the Jupiter oppositions with any planet. They if anything, you just have to kind of scale back with Jupiter and bring it into manageable terms. And that Pluto quincunx, by the way, would certainly help you out with that. It would temper your overenthusiasm at times, in relationships. So I think that that's actually a pretty interesting aspect as it relates to the opposition.
Well, thank you, Rob. Thank you a lot. Thank you much.
You're welcome, and thank you for calling. I love New York.
And we love you. We astrologers, we listen. All right.
We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I tell you, it's funny, the minor aspects, I call them minor. I don't know. There are other astrologers that are, that are into them. But I feel like that there's enough, there's enough with the major stuff. And the other thing, too, that I, in terms of my own particular type of astrology that I do is, a lot of astrologers tend to be very angle and degree and mathematically oriented. That's, and obviously those things are important, but I have a very intuitive relationship with astrology as well, because that's part of my background. So let's go to another caller here and find out who they are, what they want to talk about. Hello there.
Oh, hello?
Hi, you're not from New York.
No, it's Camille in Alameda.
Oh, hey, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
So, just to set the stage,
Yeah.
some people might know you, but in case they don't, you're in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most sneaky birth of all time.
Yes, I am.
Camille went for a bike ride one day, came home, took a bath, and a few hours later was in the hospital having a baby that she didn't know about.
No, not at all. But she's here, and now she is almost 9 months old.
So you and I become Facebook friends, and I got to tell you, this is one of the most adorable beings on the planet right now.
Yes.
Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I mean, she is. I look at that face, and that is a wise little being.
Yes, she is.
She is that. Her name is Bee, right?
Belle.
She is like the wisest little being I've seen. I mean, she's incredible. You just look at, she's beautiful. She looks like a little Buddha. That's exactly what she looks like.
She does. It's the funniest thing. I love it. Every time I look at her, I'm like, who are you in there?
And your stories about her are actually quite good, like grabbing a fistful of peas and feeding them to herself. I thought that was a good story.
Yeah, she loves, like, she's in the exploring, I want food, anything that I eat, she wants to eat. So she's surprising me. The other night, I made some rice for myself with some vegetables. Next thing I know, she's grabbing at the rice. So I'm learning, too, that food is a good motivator to get her to start to scuttle around and lift herself up. She's almost walking or crawling, just if you put food in front of her and move it away or move it here and there, it helps her to exercise her abilities to, move up, move around.
Yeah. Yeah, people do that to me. They put food on the table and I get up off the couch. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing, this food.
Yeah.
Well, so she's happy, she's healthy. You guys are happy and healthy, right?
Yeah. Like, she's still on the petite side, but on the same token, there are babies who are on the bigger side for whatever age they are. So if a baby can be bigger for its age, then a baby can be smaller for its age, too.
Yeah. That's true. Well, she's going to have a growth spurt.
Mm-hmm. And if she keeps stealing food off my plate in the way that she is, that might be sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you want to do some astrological stuff today?
I do. So, I don't know if you saved the information, but I'm July 13th, 1976.
Yeah, you just had a birthday, yeah.
I did. Yeah. At 6:18 p.m.
1976. 6:18 p.m.
Mhm.
All right. There we go. And was that in L.A.?
Yes.
All right. There we go. Okay. All right. So there's your chart, and where do you want to go from here?
Okay. A couple things. So obviously, I've outlined my career. So teaching, writing, public speaking, workshops, life coaching. That's me. I'm doing all of the above. Any other possible things that I might have missed in terms of the career abundance track?
Well, you've got Pluto in Libra up near your midheaven. So it trines Saturn. Let's make sure here. Yeah, it trines Saturn in your chart, and Saturn is in the 8th house, which is Scorpio. I think that the life coaching thing is interesting and good, but I also think that you could potentially work with couples as a focus, because Pluto in Libra is obviously about relationships on a collective level, right? But also on an individual level, because you have Libra on your midheaven, and it's at 14 degrees, and then your Pluto is there at 9, nice conjunction, 5 degrees. So Libra works really one-on-one with people in many instances, and I think that really good therapists have a fair amount of Libra in their chart, because they understand this whole notion of the other. So, if you were to go deeper into that place of life coaching, specifically working with couples, might be something that you could be very good at, especially to understand the deeper psychological motivations of that, because you have both Mars in Virgo. Mars in Virgo is very diagnostic, by the way. It's super diagnostic, and you've got that in the 8th house. So you have Mars and accidental exaltation in the 8th house, and so this aspect of being able to get in and figure out what's wrong is something that you're naturally. Here she is.
Yeah, listening in. Okay.
She's agreeing with me, by the way.
I think so.
Yeah. The one thing you've got to watch out for with that Mars, because it's got a number of hard angles. It squares Jupiter, which is not a terrible square per se.
I didn't realize it was a square. Okay.
Yeah, but it also squares Neptune.
Oh, okay.
So the one thing you got to watch out for with that is judgment and anger, and feeling angry about being judged.
Yeah.
And also at times when you feel like, pardon the expression, bitch slap somebody, you may want to count to 3.
Yes.
Because especially with the Mars Neptune square, that can be, because both of those planets are in water houses and hidden houses, so the emotion can just rise out of nowhere with you, and all of a sudden you're like reading somebody the riot act,
Right. I've done that.
So you got to figure out how to harness that and how to channel that and make that your ally versus, something that will drive a wedge between you and other people. You do that, and you come from a very humble place. Here's something, because I'm a projector in human design. One of the things I learned about being a projector is, we have to ask for people if they want feedback.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're a projector or not. I'm just sharing my 2 cents with you around it, because every time as a projector, if I don't ask somebody if they want feedback, it doesn't work, and they get really, really upset with me. Or if people ask me, like everybody that calls into the show, just by calling in, you're asking for feedback. So there's already a sense of permission. And I would say for you, there's something to that. And I don't know if you're a projector or not. If I can find out later, I could, tell you on Facebook. But but that would be a strategy for you to deal with the rush, the head rush to judgment, or the head rush to anger. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, totally.
Yeah. So just ask people like, hey, you want feedback? Well, I guess.
Okay. And that's based on the Mars transit.
That's Mars. That's the Mars square with Neptune, Mars square with Jupiter as well.
Oh, wow.
Mostly the Mars square with Neptune. And Mars is Virgo, which can be a very very judgmental energy. But if you get into that Mars, and make it really diagnostic, because Mars also sextiles your true node and your Uranus. So you want it, Mars is a very important planet in your chart.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, very important planet. So, because your purpose, which is your true node in the 10th house, and next to Uranus, is to be in some ways very scorpionic, because your true node is in Scorpio, right? And this is interesting, you had this this little miracle child who popped in out of nowhere, really, and so what is Scorpio? Scorpio is sex and death and birth. And what do you have next to it? Uranus, which is sudden, right?
Right.
So there you go. You should write a book. You need to write a book.
How do I best use that true node Scorpio energy?
Well, I think what you could do, if you really got good at the life coaching, what you could do is you could come up with a system of radical transformation.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, like 30 seconds to enlightenment or something like that.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay, let me write that down.
You could use, okay, all right, this could be interesting if you wanted to go down this path. You could use this experience around your daughter as kind of the foundation for your work, which was change can happen at any moment. And here, I am a living example of this.
Right.
And I'm going to show you how change can happen at any moment in your life. Right now, right now, right now, right now.
I like that.
30 seconds to enlightenment. Trademark that.
I like that. Yeah, because I've been thinking of how it doesn't feel like my life has really started until her birth. It felt like maybe I was sleepwalking up until that period. And then suddenly it's take the Band-Aid off. I have to make decisions and do things, and anything that I attempted to create, I got the education, but not the experience. It just wasn't going in the way that I would have hoped, because maybe I was pushing and trying and overthinking, and it just wasn't right.
Yeah. Well, the challenge, is because you've got two transpersonal planets in your 10th house, Pluto and Uranus. They're hard. They're hard planets to handle. These are planets that have really big collective energy, really big mythopoetic energy. And it's not like you have Venus in your 10th house and you want to be a fashion designer. Well, that's pretty manageable. But Uranus in the 10th house is erratic, and it's in Scorpio, so it's like no bullshit, It's like it's an intense sign to have, in your 10th house. And Pluto is not far behind. So, I wouldn't worry so much about not being able to get a handle on it. You've got Saturn in your 10th house now, and Saturn's going to touch on Uranus here very, very shortly in your chart, starting in October. So this whole notion of rapid change, rapid transformation can become very real for you, and making it, turning it into having some sort of form around it. So, I would think about that. I would think about how can you use your experience, not that you're like exploiting your daughter, but use it in a way that people would be amazed. And then even in your own life, right, continue to clock that, like how quickly can you transform things like her weight, or things like, or like your own understanding about who she is, how she relates to you, how your life is so much different, and document it, because you're very articulate. You've got Sun conjunct Moon in Cancer, so you're very articulate. And just find, and again, all that Moon stuff. I mean, all that Cancer stuff. That's women. It's women. And I think if you target your life coaching towards women, you'll be very successful.
Alrighty, yeah, women. Okay, well, I was going in that direction, figuring that out. Now, one thing I noticed, that moving from Los Angeles to Alameda, it didn't shake up things dramatically in the chart. However, Venus moved from its natal 7th house into my 8th house.
Uh-huh.
And that's, went from what? Relationships and partnerships to what? Sex and death or something?
And birth, right? Come on. Birth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that, since I know that I've got Libra midheaven, and Libra is ruled by Venus.
Yeah.
So Venus in Cancer is shifted to my 8th house.
Okay.
I just use that to, how am I using this?
How are you? Well, it seems to me like it's using you, to be honest with you. Because the 8th house is hidden, right? I mean, to me, Venus in your 8th house is the birth of your daughter.
Aha, okay.
And that's, to me, that's how it's manifested. So a lot of times the what I call the hidden houses, mostly the 8th and the 12th, to some extent the 4th, those energies act upon you. Now you with the 8th house, or people in the 8th house, which is a psychological house, by the way, you can interact with your psyche, and you can have a fertile relationship with your psyche, and it can inform you as to what to do at times, or in a very artistic sense, it can move you to do certain things. So, you want to stay in touch with, by the way, your 8th house is Leo, which is children.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would just get into this phenomenal experience that you've had from as many different angles as possible. That's what my advice to you would be.
I can do that, because the rest of it, I know that's what, very receptive. The Venus Cancer, that's a very receptive one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how in my lifetime I've been blessed with a more passive income. So when it comes time to manifest more, what I am doing is more of a intellectual work.
Yeah. And it's unusual because it's Uranus. You have Uranus in the 10th house. It's not going to be run of the mill. It's not going to be, you've got a really interesting series of like for instance, Pluto in your chart. It also trines Saturn, and Neptune sextiles Pluto and then Neptune trine Saturn as well. So you got this really interesting. It's Pluto to Neptune, Pluto to Saturn in your chart. So Neptune's a big player too in your chart, and it's about being Neptune trining Saturn is very inspirational. The Neptune Pluto trine is kind of generational. So it's about practical inspiration.
Got it. I've never thought about that. I've never heard it phrased that way.
Well, I guess there's a first for everything.
Yeah.
All right, Camille. So do you feel complete? Do you feel complete here? Did you get your download today?
I think so. It's just good to get some confirmation and then some additional pointers to know that I'm going in the right, appropriate path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Enlightenment in 30 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, there's got to be a way. I'll spill that into something that rolls off my tongue easy,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to figure out what that is, but I've taken many notes. Good.
I'll do a human design chart for you, and I'll send it to you on
okay.
Facebook. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for calling in. Take good care of yourself and that little angel of yours.
I am.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All righty. Let's see. We've got probably enough time for one more call. Let me just call in. They've been holding for 4 minutes. Let's see who they are. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi there.
Hi.
Can you do a comparison chart, or?
I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay.
So what I have to do is I have to do 2 charts. What's your name?
Donna.
Donna. All right, Donna. And when is your birthday, Donna?
It's 10/25/67. 6:30 a.m. Corona, California.
10:25 a.m.
Uh-huh.
Corona, California. I know where that is. Yeah. Let's see. Corona. There you are. Okay, that's you. And let me open another window here. And who's the other person?
It's the birthday is July 4th.
Right, hold on. Okay, we're probably going to go over the time here for the people that are listening to this on the live stream. So I want to thank you all for listening and calling in. It's been a great show, and your energy is really valued and is a big part of this show in a huge way. So thank you. And Friday, I might have a very interesting guest, so don't miss Friday's show if I can pull this off. I don't want to talk about it. Go to my website, robertphoenix.com, and you'll be able to see my latest post on the Armstrongs. Okay, hold on. Let's go here. All right. And here. And here. Okay, so July 4th?
1971. Born same place, Corona, California.
Okay.
Not sure of the time, though.
You're not sure of the time?
Of his time, yeah, of birth.
Okay. I'm just going to put it unknown.
Okay.
And Corona. All right, here it is. Okay, so, all right, so I'm just going to look at your angle, your planets here, what you've got. Let's see, where are you? Where's he? All right. Okay, I'm assuming it's a he. Am I right?
Yes.
Never want to assume in this day and age.
Right.
All right. Okay, so what are you looking for?
Is there a way to find out any past life, maybe issues or?
Past life issues. All right, let me see what we got here.
I wouldn't know which area.
Well, yes. The answer, the immediate answer would be Yes, and I would say that if we were to look at some kind of a past life connection, it would be between his moon and your Neptune. So he has moon in Scorpio, which is at 27 degrees. You have
I think his moon is in Virgo, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah, I believe.
Oh, well, see, I need to know the time.
Oh, but yeah, I do know that his moon is in Virgo for sure.
Oh, it is in Virgo. Okay.
Yeah.
So July, hold on. Did you say July 4th, 1971? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got the moon in Scorpio.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's 73. Oh, gosh, you know what? Maybe it's 73. I'm sorry. Yeah, 73. I totally just, messed up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.
No worries. Let's see. All right. Yeah, there is the Virgo moon.
Okay.
Now it changes things.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was going to say that, yes, with his moon in the 12th house, there'd be a very direct and dramatic link.
Right. Oh.
Capricorn, True Node, Aries, hold on. Venus, Virgo, Venus, Leo. Gemini, Saturn, Virgo. I would say, and this is just going off of nothing but pure intuition.
Okay.
That the first thing that I'd be looking at here, and it's a wide conjunction, would be the Moon-Sun conjunction, which is a 10-degree conjunction. So, I mean, I tend to look at the Moon-Sun conjunction as potentially, marriage partners in past lives.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you want to kind of distill it down to its most basic station, that's what that would appear to be. And I think clearly it would be along the same lines of configuration as this lifetime. He would be the man, and you would be the woman, and we're the woman, by the way. There's also, again, if you want to look at potential past life connection, would be your Mars in Capricorn conjunct his true node in Capricorn. His true node is at 7 degrees, and your Mars is at 1 degree. So, you look at the South Node as being a past life indicator as well, which would mean that the South Node would be at, 7 degrees Cancer, which does not really touch any of your planets. But you would have committed in this lifetime with your Mars conjunct his true node to help him move from, and it's hard for him too because his true node is opposed his sun, which is a little challenging. So his sun is sitting on his south node. So he needs to be more of, like, for instance, the difference between Cancer and Capricorn in this instance would be somebody who works for a subcontractor and helps build homes versus a subcontractor who runs the program, or even a builder. He needs to use that Capricorn true node to take his Cancerian energy and be successful and be ambitious, and to take his skills, his very Cancerian skills, and to be like a director or a manager or a supervisor. And that's what you're here to help, theoretically, to help this person with.
Oh.
Because that's where Mars is. Your Mars in Capricorn adds a great deal of energy to his true node. He could, with your guidance, with your love, with your help, he could find who he needs to be in this lifetime.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. That sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else here. Virgo, 15 Virgo. Yeah, so you have Venus conjunct Moon. You know, anytime you get Venus conjunct Moon, you have a very strong connection with that person. There's a sense of simpatico, even though with a Virgo Moon, anybody with Virgo Moons tend to be very critical.
Yeah, that's true.
Of themselves and others, but you could actually help him out with that.
Yeah, I mean, I try to, like, I'll kind of joke around with him and kind of remind him that, that's it.
Yeah, you've got really strong Scorpio energy, and you can transform that stuff.
Oh, cool. I try little by little.
Well, if you're okay, so is this your husband or somebody you're with?
No, just somebody I'm interested. Well, I've known him for a long time.
Yeah. What does he do for a living?
Well, right now, I mean, he was working. His company just closed down, but he was with them forever, and so now he's in between. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do. It's funny.
What kind of company was it?
Oh, it was BMW.
BMW.
Yeah.
Okay. So he needs to open his own shop.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he's kind of like, you know what he's been doing? He's really into fishing. He's been making his own lures.
Okay, that's cool. All right, all right, that's great. I think it's a great idea if you support him in that.
Right.
Do it with the intent that he would be the best at doing that. I mean, not that he would be, but he needs to have a Capricornian sense of ambition with this. It's very important.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. Yeah.
And water is very prominent in his chart, with Cancer Sun.
Yeah, he lives for fishing, so.
Yeah. All right.
Cool, thanks.
He's got a neat chart. He's got a good heart, this guy.
Yeah, he does.
I can tell.
He doesn't show it a lot, but yeah, I know it's there.
Yeah, so Mercury, Venus conjunct in Leo, yeah, he's got a good heart.
Cool. Thank you so much, Robert.
All right, well, thanks for calling in.
Okay. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, and here I am at the end of the show. I just want to say I feel really blessed with the opportunity to do this on a weekly basis, and it gives my life a real sense of shape and purpose. And I want to thank everybody who calls in and who is part of the chat. It's really an amazing experience for me, and it feels like it works for everybody else too. All right, hang in there, everyone. Things are going to get kind of weird. This storm down in Louisiana and the Gulf could be Harry. And I'm not talking Prince Harry. That's a whole different Harry. But hang in there and buckle your seatbelts. I think September and particularly even October, we're in for a very bumpy ride. Very bumpy ride. Be nice to people. Be kind to people. Do your best. I'll remind myself as well, because kindness is the milk and honey of our experience. Kindness doesn't mean you let people walk all over you, but just be kind. And if you have to stand up for your own truth, well, you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. Thank you for listening. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'll see you on Friday.
In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I do in the action of the sacred fire in this hour, descend almighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sanat Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty I am present, come come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God slain. I demand the full power of beloved mighty exceeding with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and son of Kumara. Come, Lord, now in the victory of the God slain. Send the light 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty Australian, mighty Australian, mighty Australian, let your presence of the around this fortune now. I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon